they would
I need to just rename that because it's TBO. But
if we would have, if they'd have been as vocal about that as they were about Donald Trump, we'd be far better off. And that, it's like Donald Trump, the person, not the policies.
mm-hmm.
And that's my issue. It's like,
one thing we have to, so we have the laptop and then we have the cameras right over here. So if you look at the laptop, I gotta make sure that that's pulling the right video. Yeah, okay. So we have to not look at the laptop because otherwise we're looking down all the time.
Got it.
So things are going good?
Life is good. Yeah, I had a great trip across America to get back to Colorado and see some family, and just kind of taking one day at a time.
by the way, if you ought to seen the look on Pat's face when I convinced him to watch your YouTube video
Oh my
of the
God.
rock climbing.
Okay.
I thought he was going to throw up right on the spot.
I will tell you what, Craig, there, I could feel every step you took in that video, and I know it was a recreation, but every step you took in that video, I could feel into my bone marrow.
Yeah, especially when I broke my leg for the second time, right?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
wow, like,
Yeah, it was an experience of a lifetime, no doubt.
Well, we'll get into that. Let's just go ahead and hit that as the first one, but then the second one we'll talk about music. And did you also, were you on what was that, game show or?
oh, American Ninja.
Yeah, I was a national finalist on American Ninja Warrior.
So we'll maybe make that the third one then.
Okay.
But before we get started, I'll just let you know my wife and I are leaving Friday morning for the Great Smoky Mountains.
Great.
So we're spending 3 nights in Asheville, and then we're going to go over to Gatlinburg for 4 or 5 nights. And at least we'll probably spend, probably be on the Appalachian Trail maybe for a mile. So just enough to get a taste of it. But
Just enough you can say he hiked the Appalachian Trail.
yeah, right.
And then somebody says, well, how much of it? Well, a mile.
Maybe a mile.
Kind of like me running around the marathon.
Yeah, that's as in the gas station.
I've definitely run around the marathon before. All right, we'll pause for just a couple seconds and then we'll get started. And then ready?
I'm ready.
You gotta look up now. Welcome back, and we're here today with Craig Richard, gentleman that we've had a amazing chance to get to know, and he's a musician and outdoor adventurist and all around great guy. Is that a pretty fair thing?
Yeah,
Craig?
I like it. The 2 word descriptors, the third one was a compliment. I'll take that thing.
But so, Craig, we met you sitting outside the
Mate Factor.
Mate Factor in Savannah. There's a cheap plug for them, and quickly just started seeing all the different aspects. But I want to start with maybe the most exhilarating part first, although the music and the other ranks right up there as well. Can you give us a thumbnail sketch of going to hike and how you almost died?
Sure. Well, I was technical rock climbing, which is a step up from regular hiking. And back in 2006, my cousin Ken and I were training to climb the most famous climb in the world, which is El Capitan in California. And our last test piece was in the Black Canyon of Western Colorado. Basically, on our first day of climbing 1,000 feet up, I took a fall, had a very unlucky injury, shattered my right leg.
Ouch.
Yeah,
Now you're climbing with ropes.
yeah, yeah. We have safety equipment, ropes and harnesses, correct?
Thankfully, right?
Of course, yeah. We would never solo climb without equipment.
But the thumbnail view that you gave, I watched a video. It was they did I guess you'd call it a reenactment for a show, right?
Yep. Yeah, it was featured on the Discovery Channel's Got Home Alive program.
And that really labeled it well. Got
Yeah.
Home Alive.
Yeah. If that doesn't give you that's not a spoiler alert. I don't know what is. But I was telling Craig this before we hit the record button today, that when I watched that, I literally could feel the pain of every step he was taking. I could feel it into my bone marrow. That's how painful watching this.
And for those of us who are listening, we'll put the link to the YouTube in the show notes.
Absolutely. But Craig, so and I know Doc asked for a thumbnail view, but you went to go up, you had to go down. Right?
Correct. Yeah, because we were in a canyon after the injury, we had to descend 1,000 feet back into the depths of the canyon and then make this incredibly difficult hike out. But at that point, I had a shattered leg as well.
And basically the bone broke and then it slid alongside of each other, right?
Yeah, I had a break in 3 different parts of my leg. I'd never broken a bone. So I think what you're referring to is when we finally reached the ground and I tried to test my leg to see if I could walk on it. And it basically separated for a second time. Was pretty excruciating. Yeah.
I did that as a teenager, and you will never forget the pain that comes from trying to step on something like that. Like, whoa.
So Craig, this is below the knee, right?
Correct. Yes.
So you get down to the bottom, then you got to go another 1,000 foot up. How in the world? Well, that's what this segment's called. Holy crap, how'd they do that?
Sure. Yeah. I'm glad to talk to you guys today because this is an element that's not highlighted in some of the more dramatic retellings of the story. Physically speaking, my cousin and I made a very simple brace with what we had, just some webbing and a big log, basically. And then I had to crawl on my hands and knees for about 3 miles through the night. We got lost many times because all we could see was with our headlamps, crawling through big bushels of poison ivy all night long, out of food, out of water. But the thing that really, I believe, saved our lives was our attitude. My cousin and I were like brothers, and we were actually horsing around quite a lot through this hellacious crawl out. You know, he kept making jokes like, "You're never going to get a date again now that you're a cripple," and you know, you should try out for Gollum in the next Lord of the Rings, you know, things like that. And, yeah.
They do say laughter is the best medicine, but I don't know that you would agree at the time, probably.
So how are you taking this? Was it helping you?
You know, it's one of those things that when it was happening, I didn't realize how powerful it was. It was just our go-to. But in retrospect, looking back, I believe that's one of the key elements that saved our lives, is that whenever we met a new roadblock in getting out, we, rather than saying, well, that's it, was just, okay, what's next? And on top of that, as I mentioned, just keeping this levity in the situation allowed us to not sink into the darkness, but always see a silver lining in everything and just keep moving.
Wow.
That's good. You know, yeah. If you don't laugh, you cry, right? So you might as well laugh.
How many hours did it take to do that 1,000 foot climb out of the canyon?
From the time that I broke my leg, the self-rescue was 18 hours.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And what would that route, or what did that route take pre-breakage?
Can you say that again?
How long would that, how long did it take you to get to where you got?
If you wouldn't have broken your leg, how long would it have been normally to get out?
Oh, we had another 800, 1,000 feet of climbing to finish. And it probably would have taken us another 6 hours or so to get to the top of the canyon.
But I mean,
To work your way backwards.
so if you worked your way backwards, if you're on the floor of the canyon and hiking out, how long would that take?
Well, part of the wildness of this story is you're not meant to hike out of the canyon. This hike to get in is rappelling down over big cliffs. It's going down on your butt through scree fields, which is basically loose rock and gravel. So going up that is just almost unthinkable, but you have no choice if you have an accident.
So how do you harness this for everyday life?
Yeah, I shared with Lauren a quote that's quote me if you've never heard it before, and then don't shoot me if it's somebody else's. I'm not sure if I made that or not. And the quote is that we don't see the world as it is, but we see the world as we are. And what that means to me is that this experience really taught me that my attitude about what I'm presented with completely dictates the outcome. And I'm not a master at this. I'm doing my homework every single day, but I continue to realize that if I meet something with optimism, then generally I will find my way back to the light. And if I decide that I'm out of options, that generally tends to be what I find as well.
Wow, no way to take that and apply that to business, huh?
No, not at all. Not at all. Sales, real estate, none of that.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Too
Yeah, I
many-
would say a big part of it for me is living in possibility. If I could kind of, make that concise.
Well, I like that, living in possibility. Well, seeing, we asked this question like why not instead of why?
Sure.
And we talk about a lot on our show about the impossible, and it's only impossible because we haven't figured out a way to do it.
Well, I'm just struck by how easy it is and how many people figuratively have broken their leg on the side of the mountain and have just decided to lay there and die.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it's like we give up and then complain, well, somebody needed to rescue me.
Mm.
And it's like,
Well, in my life, I feel like from all the great teachers and sages and great authors, they generally all point to the same thing, and that's that I am in the driver's seat of my life. And that if I'm in a situation that I want to change, guess whose role it is to change it? It's mine.
I love that. And I'm not an addict, but I use a lot of the mantras that come from the addict world. And they say, you can do anything you want to, you just have to want to do it. I mean, that's exactly what you're saying is, you're in control of this, and it's a choice. If failure is not an option, isn't just a mantra. That's a creed to live by.
well, and it's when my autobiography comes out, it talks about the I am rather than the I am not.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
each moment you're choosing to be somebody.
Sure.
I love that. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. Wow. That's plenty to chew on there.
Yeah. I mean, and life is so about choices, right? There's a fork in the road everywhere we go.
Absolutely.
And we can go the left or we can go right. Some of us just keep going and barrel down the middle and crash, right?
Run over people
and some of us get to the end of the road and put it in park and sit there.
and some people, like what Yogi Berra said, you got to know where you want to go or you may end up somewhere else.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to be said by that. So how long did it take you to get back this? We're talking about holy crap, how they do that. How long did it take you to get back on the rock? I don't know that I'd ever get back out there. Like,
Yeah, thanks
I
for
know
asking.
I broke my foot as a kid jumping off the top of the high school I went to. I have never jumped
It
off
was,
the
it
top
was
of
a
that high school.
12-story building.
Yeah, I have never jumped off another high school since then. So
Sure.
I can't imagine rock climbing after that. But
Well, this is a part of the story I love to tell very much. After getting my cast on, only about a month later, I was back on the rock with a cast on my leg.
of course
And-
you would.
Well, and let me explain that just a little bit. You know, most people's reaction is, well, that's just lunacy and putting yourself in danger again. The situation was not that at all. I was doing stuff that I climbed when I was a child, when I was 8 years old. And it was just for the feeling of being back on the rock, because I knew that if I let this experience, this harrowing experience, scare me, it could very well take away probably the number one thing I love most in life, which is rock climbing. So I knew I needed to get back on the horse.
So basically, he was climbing rocks that you and I wouldn't dare to climb still, because he was doing this when he was 8 or 10 years old.
Given my fear of heights, I think that if that rock's over 2 foot tall, I think you're in good shape. But no, I love that you recognized what you love in life. You understood enough about yourself and saying, I can't let this stop me.
Well, and I'm assuming, Craig, that when you were doing this and you're climbing these small mountains, if you will, and you realize you're at your limit, you just kind of maintain a little bit until you're a little bit more ready, and then press on from there, right? I mean,
Sure.
I mean, that's what we're supposed to do, right? I mean, what a great life, inspiring life lesson there.
Well, the whole life lesson about rock climbing, because with ropes, because you have to reach up, you can't reach further than, and then put the anchor in, right? Isn't that how it's done?
That's exactly right. And the recovery process was very much that. It was, despite this temporary handicap, what can I still do?
Wow. Instead of waiting until I'm completely healed, and then I got to overcome my fears, and then I'm going to go back. Well, maybe I should just play it safe.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, imagine what it'd be like if Alexander Graham Bell gave up after the first failure, or Thomas Edison, or George Washington,
Or Elon
or
Musk.
yeah, I
or-
mean,
or
yeah, fill in the blank. There's just so many
Steve Jobs
examples.
was fired from Apple,
So I mean, it's just it's great. What an inspiring story. What an amazing life lesson. And talk about, holy crap, how they do that. I mean, I mean, you've heard it's a mindset, but it's more than that. It's that, because that mindset's coming from deep inside your soul.
and being able to tap that and recognize this is what I love the most. I love to rock climb, and understanding why you like to climb rocks like that. And I imagine it's because of the exhilaration, right?
Well, I'm reminded of Joseph Campbell in this moment. He said, follow your bliss. And I realized a long time ago, that's one of my blisses in life. And then everything seems to fall in place when I can take time to do those things that really fire me up, for sure.
What is the highest moment of bliss when you're climbing?
Oh, for a
Not
lot of people,
falling? Oh, that was for him.
yeah, not falling is good. Obviously getting to the top is extremely exhilarating, but really for me, now that you asked, the journey, being about halfway up, seeing this view of the valley that you're in and this incredible bird's eye view of the world from above, and just taking in this incredible thing I've said yes to, and that I'm in the midst of it. That's my favorite part.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool, because most people are all about the destination, getting there, but they miss the point about the journey. And even in life, a lot of people do this, says, oh, when I make it. Well, by the time you made it, it's kind of like, I like to
There's
read,
no time to enjoy it. Yeah.
read good biographies and that. And when I get into a really good book, there's part of me that says, I can't wait to get to the finish. But just as soon as I get to the finish, there's kind of a grief that comes over me because like, oh no, the journey's
I
done.
wish there were 3 more chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's it's kind of like saving for a rainy day. Like you can't say, if you save everything for a rainy day and you die before it rains, you missed. And there's so much more to life than that rainy day. You have to find a nice balance there.
Absolutely.
And so Craig, this has been great. We hope you stay safe up there on the rocks, and make sure you paint dock and no, you're not supposed to paint the rocks again. Yeah. All right, maybe hang a flag, our dock in the cop. We'll have to get you a flag you can plant at the top of El Capitan or something. I don't know.
Speaking of that, I do want to mention that after the accident, 1 year following, my cousin and I did go to California, and we reached the summit of El Capitan after the accident. We did it.
The closest I've had to surviving El Capitan that's the last episode, or the last version of the Apple operating system. That's as far as I'm going to get. So Big Sur, I don't even know what Big Sur is, but I'm mastering Big Sur right now. So that's it. That's it. Until they come out with a new operating system.
Well, we're gonna have Craig on another episode.
Absolutely. So thanks for now, and tune in the next time we talk with Craig.
Thank you.
Now, I found this easy. Step out of the picture. I can run the video at like 100 times, and I see nobody's in the picture. Remember, we used to have a little flashing. That's a good double there. We used to have a good flashing. We had this little flashing stop sign we'd wave, so that when I'm editing, I can go back and see this flashing stop sign. Well, found it easier if we're quiet for a couple of seconds. I can see the lull in the in the track, and then it alerts me when I see that there's nobody in the picture that there must be something going on.
Sure.
All right, Pat's working up a sweat just
Oh my
standing here.
gosh. I feel like I'm in Colorado Springs.
Oh, yeah? Where are you guys set up? Is it one of your homes?
This is my home. It's my
Nice
library behind us.
Yeah, it's very nice.
It's some of the books I got that I'm working on about 5 books right now.
Okay.
All right, so what's this next one?
We talk about his music,
Okay.
which I love.
Oh.
I could have sat there that night. I could have sat all night listening to you.
Yeah, I wish we didn't have dinner reservations, because I'd have stayed and listened, and it had nothing to do with the free wine they were plying us with.
No worries.
So. All right, we're back, and we're talking with our good friend Craig Richard, who is an amazing musician,
Among other things.
among other things. You have to tune into the episode where we talked about not only ultimately climbing El Capitan, but falling and having to climb down, then back up to get rescued, to rescue himself, I should say.
Climbing back up in a place that's only designed to rappel down. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Holy crap, how'd he do that?
Yeah, you definitely want to tune into that. But Craig has had an amazing life so far. It's not over yet. He hasn't even written the best chapter yet. But Craig has been all over, played with tons of folks, and it's definitely one of those, holy crap, how'd he do that?
Especially for a guy that plunks around on a guitar, can only dream of playing in the stage in his own mind. This guy has played on stage all around the world. So welcome back, Craig.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So tell us, where did music enter your life?
Well, I love to talk about my family because I really was influenced by both mom and dad. The outdoor adventure and rock climbing came from my father, Ron, who was a prolific rock climber and started me when I was 5. And then my mother, Carol, was a high school choir teacher. So I started singing and playing piano when I was also about 5 or 6 years old. And then in school, picked up the saxophone. And it's just one of those kind of, yes, this is for me type things. So my soul lit up and just kind of ran with it ever since.
So how many instruments do you play?
Okay, well, I play the saxophone, although there's 5 different types. I'll just call that one. I play guitar, I play piano, I sing, and I play the drums. So however many that is.
But not all at once. So,
Well,
And he doesn't play drums when he's rock climbing.
yeah, no. Craig, you'll love this. I owned a restaurant with my brother. We're going to bring in some live music. And I said, hey, we need to find one of them one-man bands. And my brother gave me this weird look like, what are you talking about? Like, I could tell what he pictured was like the guy with the harmonica and the guitar with the cymbals between his knees.
And a bass drum on his back.
And all of this. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, like I have a friend that he plays the guitar, but he plays with, with a track background, or, I've piano player friends that play with different tracks and background music and whatnot. But my brother, it was so funny, like a one-man band, but we've seen you as a one-man band, but you've had the privilege, honor, I don't know what you would call it, I guess we'll ask you that, but to play in some amazing places with some amazing people. So how about a little bit of that?
Sure, yeah. After I graduated from college with a music degree, I started working on cruise ships, actually. And I played as a house band musician, backing up a lot of big artists. And I just always thought, like, it's fun playing in the band, but I want to be that guy. I want to be the frontline guy, the headliner. So I crafted my own show and just had a right place at the right time kind of moment where a big entertainer got sick and canceled their performance. And the entertainment director said, if you promise me this is the real deal, we'll put you on. And it was a huge success, got a standing ovation for my first show. And these people called up their agent, said, this guy's the real deal. And within a couple of weeks, I was on a world tour doing my own headline show on all these different cruises. And so that was the beginning of that. I had the real great honor of meeting the saxophonist Kenny G in 2011. And that just came about through my best friend who owns a saxophone equipment company in Miami, Florida called Dukoff. And he just put us together. Kenny asked if I could play a little bit for him. He said, you sound pretty great. Play with me in my next show. And like, it's one of those, yeah, sure, whatever you say. And
that's funny. I met Garth Brooks, and he did not say that same thing to me.
Did it play? Yeah.
He said, "Hey, be sure to buy a ticket to my next show."
Is that where?
Yeah.
Is that where the song "Friends in Low Places" came? He was thinking it.
No, he was thinking about his friend. I was in the low places.
But since then, Kenny and I have played together 4 times in different locations and had some other great connections come through that. And again, to paraphrase on my favorite philosophers, Joseph Campbell, music is my bliss. And following that bliss has opened some incredible doors when I didn't go looking for it, when I was just doing what I loved.
So we're filming this in June of 2021. Cruise ships aren't traveling yet. What's your game plan? Are you going to go back into the cruise ships, or are you going to do a different route?
Well, like a lot of people, I'm taking it one day at a time right now. I do have some cruise ship offers for 2022, so they are hopeful that they'll be up and running again. And I would love to get back to that. It's an incredible performing opportunity for a headline entertainer. I mean, I travel the world. I play 2 shows a week, and in between that, I'm a free guest on a cruise, going to these destinations, eating in the room, going to the spa. It's not a bad gig, really.
So
maybe we should learn how to sing.
But we actually, we haven't even announced this yet, but we do have a cruise coming up, right?
We do have a cruise coming up
Dock
next
and a
year.
Cop
The
cruise.
Dock and a Cop cruise coming up. Tune in, send us an email at info@totalcareergrowth.com. We'll tell you all about it.
Maybe we can work to get Craig as the featured performer.
As our headline entertainment. That would be awesome.
That'd be cool.
Then we can hang out with him for 3-4 days.
Mhm.
I always wanted to be a roadie.
Hey, I'll be a roadie.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys met me in Savannah and I was just playing some local gigs. That was fun, trying something different. So like a lot of musicians, in this very different time, we're just kind of doing what we can. And that's good too. But I look forward to getting back on the stage.
I think this is the only person I know that's got a pivotal guitar.
Oh. And Craig, I don't know when the last time you were in South Florida, but your guitar looks like the Hard Rock Hotel in Fort Lauderdale or in Hollywood.
Oh yeah. That's right next to the factory where I work with my friend. Yep.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
Craig's guitar folds in half.
Yep.
And so that's what
Purposely.
purposely, not because he got mad and fling it into his
Not like the rock
recording
guitarist on
equipment.
stage.
Yeah. But I saw it in the bag and I said, hey, that looks like a guitar if it's shaped like a guitar at the bottom, but there's no neck. And then Craig said, well, yeah, that is my guitar, and it folds in half, makes it easy for transport. But it actually, when you take the guitar out of the case before you connect the neck, that's exactly what the Hard Rock Hotel down in Hollywood, Florida looks like at the casino. It looks like a guitar with no neck, but it's got the strings and the frets and all that stuff, and that's as much as I know.
The strings just fold
Yeah,
over.
the strings
into
just fall over and you
inside.
beeline into the pool. No.
No, I mean on his.
Oh, on his guitar. Oh, yeah.
Folds over and
And it took him all of about 8 seconds to tune it, and it sounded great.
as you can see, Craig, we're easily impressed.
Well, I like to think and do things outside of the box, to try something different.
So outside of playing with Kenny G, what is your favorite moment from performing?
Yeah. These concerts that I do, I get a lot of time on the microphone as well to just kind of tell stories and interact with people. And one of my favorite things I've developed through my performing career is actually not performing at all. It's just being myself, talking about what's real in my life and the struggles that I face that are really universal struggles, and having this unique interaction with an audience that feels very one-on-one, but with a lot of people. And just like anybody else, I certainly have and continue to have my trials in life, and being vulnerable about that in a stage setting, I've found to be a very rewarding and powerful tool to connect with other people.
I love that, Doc, because even with social media, we would think that we would feel more connected. But the thing that you hear overwhelming is that so many people feel like they're the only ones going through particular struggles, right? Whether it's weight or height or looks or sexuality or popularity or whatever it is. They think they're the only one.
Yeah.
And they think that they're the only one going through it. They can't talk to other people about it. And here Craig is taking the platform, not standing up there and saying, look, this is my viewpoint on life and this, you have to adopt it or you're a SOB, but saying, look, I suffered, or I've been in pain, or I've been unhappy, or I haven't got what I wanted, and this is how I worked my way through it. And music is one of the great releases for me to clear my head, to write myself.
Because as I was watching a piece this week on Itzhak Perlman talking about the violin, and his wife is talking about music and the ability to feel like that is what separates us from the animal kingdom, because we feel, and it's through music, and music helps us just explore and become and feel on a whole different level.
You see, Doc, you've never seen The Lion King. So you've never seen Timon and Pumbaa. They sing and they dance.
Craig, I really gotta apologize for Pat sometimes. He goes off the deep
That's
end.
right. Right.
You know, it's bad enough he runs a marathon gas station, but no, I mean, I just think that's great. And I know sitting in that hotel in the wonderful downtown hotel in Savannah and listening to you, it's like I could have sat there for 2 hours, especially when they're giving you free wine.
That didn't hurt.
I could have sat there all evening, and it's not only the music, but it's the atmosphere. And for me, it takes me to places that I couldn't go otherwise. And I can imagine in coffee house conversations or, presentations and things like that, that really lends itself to taking things to a whole nother level.
Well, and that's, Craig, it's like, people ask Billy Joel, you ever get sick of playing piano, man? But I've seen Billy Joel in concert several times. I've seen him on TV and whatnot. He always looks fully engaged playing that song.
Sure.
And he's played it tens of thousands of times, right? They still go to practice every day, which is just blows my mind that you would practice like that. Having known the song, played it, most of his band's been with him for 40 years, all the same guys, but they still do rehearsals. But when he plays and he's up on the stage and he's presenting to the people, it's game on, and you can. It's not like, hey, this is the 9 millionth time that I've sang Piano Man, and I'm just going through the steps. He's truly trying to create an experience, and that's what you get with sharing of stories and sharing what a song means to you, or a struggle.
I'm curious, Craig, when you were playing, do you have a certain set of songs that are kind of go-to for you?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I've changed my concerts consistently over a 13-year period, but there are a few songs that I've kept almost since the very beginning. And my Piano Man has been You Raised Me Up by Josh Groban.
Okay.
And every time I play that song, I talk about how it reminds me of all the people that have come into my life that have contributed to my journey, and how talking about that never gets old, and communicating that through the same song never gets old. So
is rock climbing the same way? I mean, in some ways, I think that in rock climbing, you have to be very present, and it's a discipline. But in some ways, when you sing a favorite song, it's kind of a flowing from inside out and less of a discipline. Is that accurate or not?
I think they can be related, you talk about a flow state. That's why I love rock climbing, because it's like a moving meditation for me.
Oh, wow.
I'm not thinking about anything else. And when I'm playing music, there is a presence, I guess same as rock climbing, to make sure I'm covering my bases, playing the right notes and keeping my hand on the right rock ledge. But
that's why I can't sing and play. I can't play. It's too much focus. That's the most impressive thing.
Well, as I was saying, what comes up for me between both is the flow state. It's a blissful state. It's almost like a meditation.
Oh, that's what driving is for me. It's like meditation.
Right.
Like most people that ride with me, it's like meditation, because I look and they have their eyes closed and they're whispering to themselves.
That's what the grab handle's on that side of the car for. I've ridden with you, and it's not meditation. It's Danny prayer.
I have a lot of non-Catholics ride with me that pray the rosary. They say there's no atheists in the foxhole. There's also no atheists in my back seat.
Well, I like the way he's got the rosary printed right on the front of each passenger place. So anyway,
right.
So have you written much of your own music?
I've written a couple of songs through the years. I've really enjoyed the art of taking other people's music and making my own for a long time. And in a cruise ship setting, that's kind of appropriate. You can play one or two of your own songs, but they kind of want to hear things that they know for the most part.
They want to hear Freebird, right? And Piano Man and Sweet
yeah.
Caroline. I had a friend that went and saw somebody playing at a local restaurant bar or something, and they said, "Wow, the guy played all my favorites, like all the popular songs." Like, well, of course, that's
Well,
what everybody asked for.
If I remember right, Craig, there was a concert recently where this clown kept yelling out Freebird.
Yeah, that seems to ring a bell.
I know somebody who's prone to doing that, and it's really embarrassing.
And he also talks about running a marathon.
Or
gas
on a marathon, yeah. So, Craig, as we wrap things up here, what's one bit of advice you would give to a hesitant person who's interested in music, whether it's for a career or just for recreation?
Yeah, good question. I find when anybody enters into music that it can be really easy to learn music and to find yourself performing music that you don't necessarily enjoy. I think that happens a lot, particularly with like classical lessons. When you start any instrument, it's like, that's fine to learn the facility, but I want to play an instrument because I want to play music I like.
Mm-hmm.
So my advice for any person who wants music to be part of their life is to claim that you have the right and you should be learning to play music that you truly enjoy, because that's what it's about.
That would give you a big leg up, I would think.
Oh,
I mean, trying to learn Rachmaninoff just so I can work the keyboard, but if I could play, Good Golly Miss Molly or something fun, and like, no, I don't want to wait till week 19 to learn that. I know I need to learn the basics. Teach me the basics with that song.
well, Craig, I can relate because 2 years ago I picked up the bass guitar. I'm still not very good, but it's only been in the last couple months that, well, for Christmas, I got a couple of books and one of them's got like 50 bass songs in it. And I started on the easy one and they had a couple of songs that I really liked, like Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Mhm.
And it's like, I liked that song when it came out, and it's fairly easy to play. It's fun to play. Whereas some of these others, if they're too difficult, or if I really don't like the song, it's like, why do I want to do that?
It feels like homework, and music is supposed to be a joy.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
As we say goodbye to Craig for this episode, don't forget the other episode that we did with Craig, where we talked about his experience climbing and falling and rescuing himself down 1,000-foot cliff.
And in the next episode,
Wow.
stay tuned at totalcareergrowth.com.
Which one?
I have to give him royalties. He's given us so much material. This is all great, Craig. I love it. By the way, one of the things that I might have told you this up there, that just totally transformed, got me re-energized about the 6-string, is how many songs are written in 3 chords.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wished I would have known that 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it's like, I thought I had to play these F-sharp 7 minors with a question mark, all these that, and I can't play bar chords. My index finger just doesn't do it. But it's like, I don't need to. There's so many 3-chord songs.
And then just get a capo, and you can play the same shapes in different keys.
I was going to say, and I've watched the big acts, and of course, that's why they all have 20 different guitars, right? They've got them keyed for different things. But George Strait, I've seen him in concert several times. I don't think his guitar is plugged in. I think he strums along when he can. And half the time his arm just rests on the top of the guitar.
Sure.
But he realized a long time ago he's not a great musician. He's a great singer. I wouldn't even call him a great entertainer. I like country music. I love George Strait, but as far as an entertainer, he just stands there and sings, but he just has a presence about him.
Sure.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, my wife likes the Bee Gees and Barry Gibb, and she was reading about him, and he plays practically the same chord all the time. He just got all his guitars tuned, like you say. And I've heard that AC/DC, when they started, they knew those three chords, and that was it. And that's how come that
A, C, and D. Yeah.
it's whether there's any truth or not, it's a great story.
I love it. I can't wait to. I'm so looking forward to going back to concerts again. We have. I've got tickets to 3 shows between now and the end of the year. We're going to Earth, Wind, and Fire. No, next in September I'm going to Jamie Johnson. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but country singer, been around for a little bit. He's a kind of one of the outlaw kind of guys. Then we're seeing Earth, Wind, and Fire in Nashville. And then my wife wants to see the band Alabama, so I'm taking her up to Tallahassee to see Alabama for their 50th anniversary tour.
Cool.
On their 51st year because of COVID.
Right.
It got canceled. So, all right, let's go back into this one and then.
What's American Ninja?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're back and we're talking with our friend Craig Richard today. And Craig had the amazing opportunity to do something that very few people have an opportunity to do. In fact, 20 years ago, nobody had the opportunity to do reality television.
No.
Because there was no such thing as reality television. But this is American Ninja Warrior is almost a game show-ish like thing. So I'll have to have Craig explain that. But he had a great opportunity to be a national finalist, semifinalist.
National finalist.
Yeah. So tell us about not only the experience, what made you want to get involved in this, and then how the heck do you prepare for it?
Sure. Well, American Ninja Warrior is it's a TV show on NBC, and it really is a sport these days. Of course, the TV show is a reality TV program with backstories and things like that. But it's a very, very difficult course that requires extreme athleticism, somewhere between, I would say, gymnastics and parkour. And yeah. Well, I've been rock climbing my whole life, and that's what got me interested. My cousin just said she loved this TV show and that I should try out for it. So I sent in a submission video and they thought it'd be great. And they chose me and I showed up. And for 2 years, I was one of the top competitors in this thing.
How many times were you on it?
I was on the 2016 and 2017 seasons.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so it's a highly physical. I've watched it several times. It's highly physical, to say the least. It's a misnomer because you think ninja, you think you're fighting, but you're fighting against yourself and against a clock, right?
Yeah.
And it's all different kind of challenges. I don't know what the names of some of the stuff is. Maybe you can explain some of that. But the one where you're holding a pull-up bar, basically, or chin-up bar, and you have to let go of it and raise up about 6 inches to lock in again, and then you have to do that all the way up a wall to get you to the next level, because it's almost like the mouse trap, right? Like that you're going against all these different things, working your way through this obstacle course.
Sure. Yeah, that's called the salmon ladder. That's my favorite obstacle. I think the ninja part of it comes from its origin. It was a Japanese program called Sasuke. And so the ninja is just a reference to the Japanese part of the culture. And also that ninjas are very good at being nimble and jumping from thing to thing, like they're going to climb a building type thing.
Well, I can see why that one would be your favorite, because that you would very much use that rock climbing. because you're dangling by your arms a good
You're right.
deal of time, and you're having to reach and grab your hooks and latches and all your rock climbing gear and the ropes and everything. And so, what was your other favorite?
Oh, gosh. I like the obstacles where you have to run across things that move. You know, you have to be extremely nimble or you go crashing into a pool of water. Yeah,
So
I had
now, go ahead.
there's an obstacle in the Las Vegas, oh, as far as the Denver finals, called the spinning dice. They're these giant blocks that were squares and they spin on a big pole. And if you stood on one for any more than a split second, it spun and you would fall into the water. So you had to run across this line of them just so fast that you barely even touched them at all. That was fun.
So how do you train for something like that?
Different people in the sport have different techniques. For me, I just really fell in love with jungle gyms, actually. I've been traveling, you know, for the last 13 years. One of the consistent places I can work out is on jungle gyms, which are in every country all around the world. And they've got a lot of things to work with grip strength and swinging and jumping and all kinds of stuff. So that's been kind of one of my main training apparatuses. And then the running aspect, I got into trail running, which keeps you very, very focused on where you're stepping and how you're shifting your weight. So that's fun too. Yeah.
So what's the most challenging part of preparing and participating in something like American Ninja?
I would say that one of the reasons climbers lend well to the sport is grip strength. So in terms of preparing, literally just training your forearms to be able to hold on with just your fingertips for sometimes minutes is one of the best things you can train to do. Actually being on the TV show itself is a real challenge for a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't ever get to try the course until it's your time to go. You get to see it once, and then you have to make up in your mind how you're going to do something, because most of the obstacles are brand new and nobody's ever seen them before.
So unlike when they run the race at Daytona, not only do most racetracks look a lot alike, I know race fans are going to be mad at me and say, "Oh, they're all different," but they warm up and they practice and they do trial runs ahead of time. And a football team goes out and they warm up on the field that they're playing on. They get there a few days early and acclimate to the weather. You have to run it cold.
That's right. Yeah, it's very unique in that sense that you can only train to what you think you may be facing. But when you actually get there, it's all in your mind and how you're going to use your body in that one moment you get to make it through something. It's very unique in that way. And then also just the aspect of being on a television show when you're training, you're all by yourself. And then all of a sudden you've got 7 big cameras on you, the television lights, you got producers watching you, and you've got an audience watching you. So this added aspect of being hyper focused on only the course is an extreme challenge.
Not like you can reach out and say, "Hi, Mom."
Like you can, but
on your way down the end of the pool.
So Craig, is this all live?
yeah, it is. Yeah. When you do your run, that's recorded live, and that's your one shot.
Otherwise, they could splice the tape and, you know, take the first half of one run, second half of another, and fix it, right? And of course, here's a question that Pat was wondering about, but he's too shy to say it on the air. He says, "Aren't all these reality shows scripted?"
Well, that's a good question, and the answer is yes and no. American Ninja Warrior is unique because the running of the course by nature cannot be scripted.
Right.
It's what you see.
You lose this time.
Yeah. Oh, so it's not like wrestling. Oh, sorry, guys. I have some good wrestling friends out there.
There are aspects of it, like any mainstream TV show, where they're trying to really amp up the drama. So they want to focus on doing backstories of people that have great stories for different reasons. And also, if there's little snafus, they have to refilm sometimes. Like the interviewer messed up her words when she went to interview me after I got off the course. And she said, "Oh, cut. Sorry, would you take 20 steps back and pretend like you just came off the course?" It's like, okay, so this is a TV show. Got it, you know.
But when you're in the middle of the run, or when you're in the run, nothing's scripted.
You're hoping they yell cut in the middle of your failure so you can do over again and say cut.
Yeah. So it is unique in that way. I mean, like any television reality show, they want to make it very interesting and compelling and dramatic, and that stuff is scripted a bit. But the actual athletic run is pure, which I do love.
So do you have hopes of getting on any of these other shows?
I thought about trying out for things like Survivor. I feel like I've kind of had the reality TV experience, to be honest. I also was considered for America's Got Talent, and did very well in my audition. It's I think they can be a really fun experience, but they can be very the same in a lot of ways. Television is television. I'm sorry to say.
I was in the running for America's Got Talent. No, Doc, no, I'm serious. Yeah, they were looking for a parking attendant, and I was this close.
Okay, for our audience, they should know by now. Don't ever believe Pat when he comes out with some of these major claims, because it's like, the rim shot's coming up real quick.
Yeah, for me, the continuation of my athleticism is it's mostly in rock climbing, but I'm always open to trying new things. In terms of the TV show American Ninja Warrior, I feel really grateful to have done it for a couple of seasons, and I feel like I had the experience and it was enough.
So what happened that you didn't win? I mean, you came close, right?
Well, I was a national finalist, which means that there's 3 stages. There's a city qualifier, a city finals, and the national finals. And I was a top finisher in the first 2 stages. In Las Vegas, in the national finals, I was the very last person to run. So I was 120th of 120 people. It was, they filmed in Las Vegas in August. It was 115 degrees at night.
I was gonna say, it's pretty cool out in Vegas in August. Yeah, I can see that. I can see you in that.
So I had to wait until 5 o'clock in the morning to run, and I just gassed. I had no chance at being an athlete in that moment. So I only made maybe 4 obstacles that night. It's okay, you know.
But you know, we were talking about the heat. It's a dry heat though now.
Right. And so is the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
When I've been in Vegas and it's been 110, 112, it's really like walking into a blast furnace,
Sure.
And I can't imagine being in that heat and 5 o'clock in the morning and trying to do what you were doing. And it's like,
it was kind of an unlucky draw, but I was grateful to be there for the experience. And my family came, my friends came, and had a free hotel, and it was a great opportunity. It's a good time.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up, Craig, because this is part of our segment of holy crap, how'd they do that? And so you were a national finalist for American Ninja Warrior, and then in the running for America's Got Talent. So you put yourself out there.
Sure.
And what advice would you give to folks? I mean, other than the Nike commercial, just do it. What would you say to our listeners or our viewers?
Yeah, well, you remind me of a quote my best friend Nick says all the time. He says, "Try and be a player and not a spectator." And I think we love to watch other people do things, and if that feels like where we want to sit, that's okay. But I personally feel like I came into this life to get out there and try things for myself. So my advice would be if something sparks your interest, what do you have to lose? You know, at least give it a shot.
So Craig, our audience, we appeal to leaders in real estate, sales, or, and on, business,
Entrepreneurs, yeah.
entrepreneurship. We challenge them to think bigger and reach higher. What tip would you give them for working, let's just say in sales, and pivoting their thinking to take it to the level that you've done?
Well, I guess what comes up for me is paying attention to what intimidates me and just challenging myself to see what I'm really capable of doing.
So
Yeah.
you see the obstacle or the fear as the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way you put that too. And so many times we see the roadblock. We don't see the road around. We just did an episode on a tunnel that they're doing in Norway, and a highway tunnel. You know, because you can go over a mountain, you can go around a mountain, or you can go under the mountain. And this was the most
Sea
aesthetic, a sea tunnel. Yeah. And but we see obstacles instead of seeing opportunities. I love that way of thinking, because it really does, at the end of the day, comes down to mindset and getting yourself prepared for.
Well, and speaking of Vegas, that's where Elon Musk's company is building the tunnels underneath and putting in so that they can alleviate some of the traffic down the strip and the rest of the city. Other areas they're looking at. My son lives out in Seattle, and they're talking about, for some of the islands, they're looking at the feasibility of drilling underneath the Puget Sound.
Wow.
You know, it's just all kinds of things where we look at that. And so it's like, instead of seeing it as, oh no, what am I going to do? Saying, hey, how can I look at this and see it as an opportunity? I love that.
Well, what do we always say about the impossible? Why is it impossible?
Well, it's only impossible because we haven't yet got the resources. And
Sure.
once we have the resources, and that's why, you know, once you break, like in running, once they broke the 4-minute mile, it was like broke through a mental barrier.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden other people start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy good.
Well, Craig, we want to thank you. We want to wish you the greatest of luck in the next adventure in your life. We can't wait to get back in touch and
Yeah, to find out.
chat of what's next. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's just like one guy knew that he went on to become a lawyer, and he got tired of that, so he went in to be a med school and be a doctor, and it's like, okay, I give up.
Yeah, just keep following our bliss.
That's it. Follow your bliss. If you do that, you'll never work an unhappy day the rest
And
of
if
your
you
life.
have questions how to get there, go to totalcareergrowth.com. Hey, this was great.